teaching you about the eval and exec functions. So these two functions are extremely useful for any level of Python developer. And if you don't know these, well, it'll help a lot. So today I'll be talking about, like I said, the eval and exec and their uses. So I'll give a scenario where you'd want to use these. I mean, these aren't the most common scenarios, but if you ever come across a scenario like this, you know what to do. The eval function's gonna be for a lot of mathematics. It's more mathematics based, and then exec is more used for running Python code inside Python code. That's just a little bit confusing, and there are no imports required, so both of these are pre-installed into Python. Okay, so let's go over a scenario. Well, let's first talk about what the eval function. The eval function allows you to pass a string, and inside that string you can pass an expression. So 5 plus 3, eval will return, the eval function will return 8. And then you can print this out, you can manipulate the data whatever you want. So my friends who are beginner Python developers wanted to create their very own calculator, like a command line calculator, because that's like one of the most basic programs you can do. So what they were doing, they were creating several if statements. If like a plus is in the string, then we're gonna add the two numbers, right? And some of them just straight up ask for first number operation, then second number, which isn't optimal. You just want to be able to input the entire expression. So I was like, just ask for the entire expression, pass it into eval, then print out eval. Eval will handle everything, the conversion, it'll handle order of operations, it'll handle absolute values if someone's using like absolute value like Python function in there for some reason. I don't know. Pretty weird. So let's so eval takes a string as its only parameter. Well, you might be able to ask more. I'm only gonna talk about one. We're only gonna do string because this is the very basics. So you can do this, and if I actually print out eval, I'm just gonna comment out exec so we get no errors. If I run this, we'll get 8. 8 is printed out, and then you can really just do whatever. So one cool thing about this, it works with order of operations. So if I were to do 10 divided by 2 plus 3, you'd expect to get 8 as well. 10 divided by 2 is 5, plus 3 is 8. And you'll get 8.0 because it's 10 divided by 2 gives you a double division, integer division. It's going to convert it to a double because it's not sure whether these are integers or doubles. It's good. Like we could do 11 divided by 2 would get 8.5, which is really great if that's what you're aiming for. So if you wanted to implement like a calculator, you could say enter an expression here. Alright, and we can store this inside expression. And then we can do eval of expression. So entered expression, we'll do 5 plus 3, and we get 8. We can run it again. We can do 6 divided by 2 plus 3. We should get 6. Beautiful. So another really cool part, what we can do, we can say abs, which is like the absolute function in Python, absolute value, and then we can do like pass in like -5, and it will actually give us 5. So you can pass Python math functions in here, which is really, really powerful. And it'll become even more useful when you're getting more and more user input. Maybe if you're making a website using Python framework, Flask, or Django, this would be very crucial if you're adding mathematical functions to your site. And well, that's basically all the eval function can really do. So now let's talk about exec. Well, it's not everything the eval function can do. It can do much more, but that's everything for the scope of a beginner tutorial. Now let's talk about exec. Exec is a little more confusing. Um, Simply because you have to know the property. I'm guessing. I've actually never tried this, so I'm guessing you're gonna need uh, proper use. You have to know semicolons in Python and things like that. So, what the exec function does, you can run a piece of Python code. All right, you can run a piece of Python code inside this function. Okay, yeah. So for eval exec, I'm guessing I'm pretty sure you need to know proper use of semicolons inside Python. So let me just go over that real quick. So semicolons in Python are used if you want to write multiple statements on the same line. So I could do print high, then print high. If I run this, exec is not commented out. High. So that's basically what the semicolon is used for. Basically what that's right. Okay. So I mean, there's a very, I think there's a very fine line, what you can do with this. You're gonna just probably need like, okay, okay. So now that you know what semicolons in Python do, let's just start off using this. So what you want to do, so you need a string. This takes strings, and what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna create a new variable. I'm just gonna call it var. Because why not? And I'm gonna say I want to print high, right? So if I want to print high, and alright, sorry, I forgot to pass. Alright, so if I want to print high, I'm gonna just, you could put this string directly in here. I'm just gonna put it in a separate variable because easier to read. We want to just run this line. So exec is going to run this line for us. So print high. I can change this to yo. I can change this to yeah. Anything you want. You can also create variables, so I'll say high equals 1, print high, and we get 1. And then you can try this, and you'll see that high is not defined. So anything you define inside exec will no longer be part of your actual Python script. Okay, so that is not something you can do. So if you wanted to, let's say, put a for loop in here. So let's just do for I in range 5. The normal code, and you can say print high, and it'll print out high 5 times. Now, one thing you cannot do, you cannot exit this loop. So you need a new exec. So if you're taking a user code, I would recommend using some basic string manipulation to split it via for loop. If I do add a new one. Okay. Okay, so turns out I was wrong. You actually can exit, so you can add a new line character and you can exit the for loop. So I'm guessing if you need to do this for if statements, conditionals, anything that requires indentation, you could use this new line. So you could actually write entire Python scripts in here. We can even write, if we want, an eval function that we just learned. And we can eval it. And it won't do anything because I forgot to print it. Amazing. Alright, so let's just quickly recap everything we just did. Eval evaluates a mathematical expression. Exec runs Python code inside the function. And then both take string as argument. There are other arguments you can pass in. You don't have to always pass a string. There are exceptions, but for the scope of a basic tutorial, we're just going to stick with the eval in a sec. So if you're someone who's been watching my other videos, my programming series, this is val is probably what we're going to be using to do arithmetic, basic arithmetic, because it's really powerful. And then exec we might use actually in terms of code with syntax, we're going to keep the same. So that concludes our tutorial. Thank you for watching. I hope you'll come back and see a different tutorial. But that's it for today. I'll see you probably next week. Alright, bye.